In order to create the success that you want, you're going to have to kill someone. And that someone is you. Sounds really, really dramatic. Great for a YouTube. But what do I actually mean about all of that? I want to caveat this. I'm not coming to you today from the top of the mountain, right? I'm not coming to you today having achieved everything that I'm going to talk to you about. I'm kind of coming to you from the path, right? And that path is around changing your sense of identity. Now, to achieve what you want to achieve what I want to achieve, we kind of have to look and think, right, well, why haven't we achieved it up until now? And a lot of that comes down to limiting beliefs. It comes down to the stories that we were told about ourselves in the past, which are more than likely untrue. It comes down to a version of you that was not capable, to be honest, a version of you that was just not capable of achieving the things that you wanted to achieve. That's a cold, hard truth. However, what that doesn't mean is that you cannot create a version of you that is capable of achieving the things that you want to achieve. And I'm going to talk to you a little bit about how we do that. Actually, how I am doing that, because like I said, I'm coming to you from the path, not from the top of the mountain. The first thing to take into account is this is a long journey. It's taken 50 years, 51 years to build the human being that I am. Fortunately, it won't take 50 years to build the version of me that I want to be. And it will do the same for you. It can happen quite quickly. And you'll get wins along the way. I've noticed changes in myself. Let's wind back a little bit to why did I decide I wanted to change? And this was the key point in the whole thing, was the death of my father. Now, my dad was my mentor. He was, beside me in all of the things that I did. And he was incredibly proud of me. I knew that. He loved me. I loved him. I'm blessed in that way. I had a great relationship with my father. I'm very, very lucky. But when we buried him, he was cremated, and then we put his ashes into the ground, I had a moment of real clarity. And that moment was that if you are lucky, if you are really, really lucky, this is what happens. You die surrounded by your family, and people put you in a box, and then they put you in the ground. Everyone's crying, and you are remembered with love and with affection if you're really, really lucky. But at the end of the day, you're still going in the ground in a box. So what are you worrying about? And that realization hit me really, really hard. Unfortunately, the grief depression hit me as well. But, that's perhaps a story for another time. At the end of the day, I think you just worry. We worry about too much. And there's a few ways you can kind of manage the worry. One is a problem is an opportunity to solve something. It's not a problem. It's just an opportunity for you to kind of fix it. Something needs your focus. Something needs your attention. So focus on it. Brilliant way. Another thing is, you got a problem. Can you do anything about it? Yes. Then don't worry about it. Have you got a problem? Yes. Can you do anything about it? No. Well, then don't worry about it. Kind of cliches and things that got into my head about how to deal with all of that, how to deal with that anxiety that gets thrown at you. So I tend to just filter, the anxiety. It hits me, and I take a breath, and then think about what I need to do. Maybe that's something that, would help you in all of this. So there are, problems are just opportunities. So problems are just opportunities. Think about it that way. The other thing I've been doing on my rebuild is thinking about what I need to become in order to achieve the goals that I want to achieve. So the first thing is having a clear goal. What is it that I want to do? Well, through the Freedom Studio, through all of this, through the YouTube channel, through all these different things, I want to serve. I want to be of service. I have been around the block a few times. I've had experiences that many, many people haven't had. I was in the Royal Navy. I've been kind of as far away from my home on this planet as you can possibly get. I've literally been to the end of the earth. So, that gives you a sense of perspective. There's lots and lots and lots of different things I've done. I'll probably create a video on how all the shit that I've done. But there's lots of things that I've done. I've got a lot of life experience. One of those things I've done through life experience is I've helped build businesses. Now, when I think about how I helped build them, what I actually did was I helped the human being behind the business become someone different. That's ultimately what I did, because I worked with a lot of owner operator businesses and still do. It's about changing the person, the human being behind the business, in order to change the business. And what I've realized is that in order to do that, you have to kind of make a big shift early on. And that's changing their perspective, changing their view on things, and changing their self-image. So in order for me to be able to do that, I had to, had to change things myself. I've had to think about more around the coaching side of things and consultancy. And I've had to become comfortable with creating content like this. I've had to be able to be comfortable being vulnerable and sharing my stories, because it's only through sharing my own story can I generate I suppose, the changes in other people that I need to be able to change in order for them to move forward. I've had to learn how to do automations. I've had to learn all the technical aspects of things. And again, through YouTube's fantastic for that, the YouTube University, what's not to like? So I'm here today in front of you, kind of to invite you to come along with me on the journey. If you're struggling, if you've got a business and it's just not lighting up, and it could be anything from, a small startup. I don't say hobby business, because hobby and business are mutually exclusive. They cannot be the same thing, and they cannot exist in the same moment. So no one has a hobby business. You either have a hobby or you have a business. You have to choose which one. If you've got a hobby, not for me. Got a business, let's go. Two, you could be working on in a large organization. I have clients who are doing the same kind of thing, working in businesses that are doing, over 500,000. For reference and perspective, not half, doing 500,000 turnover, that's a decent size operation for most people, right? For most people. And if you're operating a business at that sort of level, then the challenges that you've got are going to be very, very different. That's around staffing. That's around, essentially a lot of the time, it's about how to extract yourself from that business, because, you could be stressed up to fuck, making loads of money and not having a holiday, dreaming of the day, dreaming of the time when you actually had that tiny little business or that tiny little shop. Helping people downscale their businesses is sometimes as powerful as helping people grow. But the first thing that I invite you to do is just to take a bit of a pause and just think about, what are the traits that you think you need to achieve what you need to achieve? What are the things that you need to do? What are the things that are holding you back? You can think about that point of view as well. Is, what is it that you've got? And you'll know these things that are holding you back, stopping you from moving forward in the way that you want to move forward. Because ultimately, the game is in between these two things. There's skills and talents and perspectives and mindsets that we need to earn and create. And there are things that we need to let go of. And in between those two is essentially the game that we have to play. I know that when you deal with those things in the middle, you grow, you change, you grow, you become more comfortable, you become a more powerful version of yourself. You start doing these things. You don't immediately go from dropping all of those things and getting all of that. That doesn't happen. It's a process. You might have a lot of the traits that you don't want and not many of the traits that you do, and then you just gently shift them. And that journey is a fun journey, and that's the journey I'm on with you. Like I said, I'm not coming from the top of the mountain, I'm coming from the path. And I'm probably about here, if I'm honest. I think, there's still lots of things that I do that annoy the shit out of me, consistently inconsistent. I love creating content, I love doing these sorts of things, but I'm still a little bit inconsistent, and that's something that I'm working on very, very hard right now. Again, is it a problem? No, it's just something that needed my focus. So I hope this has helped you, and I hope it's helped you in a couple of ways. One, to see that there's someone else out there who is exactly the same as you, doing the same shit, having the same challenges as you every single day. But also, if you want to take a step into the world, jump into the school group, into the Freedom Studio. There are people in there some will be further down the path and some will be behind you. In the Freedom Studio, we've got like a 90-day reset course where you will look at, the spark that lights you up. What is it that really gets you fired up and engaged and, puts puts that fire in your belly? We look at your goal, where your North Star is, what you want to achieve, and where we need to take you. We look at getting some clarity and on the resources that you have and what you have in time, energy, and money to enable you to actually achieve your goal. And then there's the plan. Like I said, there's the bit in the middle where the game is played. So jump into the school group. The 90-day reset link is below. Love to have you in it. And drop me some comments, man. Where are you on your journey? I'd be love to hear from you all. This is a fantastic journey to be on. It's a journey of change. It's a journey of development. And for me, those are the best journeys of all. Take it easy, guys. Been great speaking to you. Let's catch up with you soon.